If you only consider nature, everything is in balance. But then, all of a sudden, mankind starts producing CO2. And this graph shows you what exactly happened around the year 1850. People started using fossil fuels and producing CO2. First we started using coal, then all of a sudden people found oil in the 1900s.
Avevo di primer piano sta organizza un debate entre munchanang di Junior Rangers, camminando per debattere over climate change riba mundo, anto kiko significazione ta pa Bonaire.
Now, we all know that climate change is something inevitable.
It's cheaper to live the wrong way.
If we have no corals, no coral reefs, no one will want to come to Bonaire.
Mitigation is not about stopping, it's about reducing.
What I'd like to do is allow everybody to just quickly introduce themselves, say their name so we all know who we're talking to, and then each team can come up with suggestions, as many as you'd like, for what you think the rules of the debate should be, and I'll write them down while you guys are coming up with them, and potential outcomes.
I'm Jarno Ottens. I live here now for 3 years, and I too hope we get some nice solutions out of this.
Hi, my name is Camille. I was born here, and I hope we can all learn something from each other.
My name is Joshua Pedersen, 15 years old, and I hope that we learn something and that we get to use it and not just say, oh, okay, and then not do it. Stop.
I'm Tom. I got one more rule, which when you want to talk to someone else is
My name is Kemal Sarah, and I hope we create awareness among us young people so that we can create a better tomorrow, because that is what we as humanity want.
My name is Juliana Martinez. I am 15 years old. I hope that from this we can think globally and act locally.
Hello, I'm Javis Chirino. I'm in Haboclear. For the outcomes, I hope that our solutions of this debate can actually be heard outside of this room and not stay here, so we can help make Bonaire a better place and also the rest of the world.
Nós também temos dois grupos que também debater contra outro. Que está bisa que ainda nos pode fazer algo, outro bisa tá lá acaba, ou que nós temos que bem se adaptar e com nós também assim que está aberto para dar um ponto de vista, então outro não também bem com argumento em contra de ponto de vista. Então assim nós assim é muito não como para discutir com outro. Então, sim, cada um tem uma própria opinião de tópico. Então, como climate change é tópico mundial, nós escolhemos o tópico já.
Climate change é algo que está passando, não podemos aí, então nós temos que começar a atuar junto para poder buscar uma solução mais lia possível. Então, esse é o nosso debate de agora.
We are the adaptation group. Our first question states, what is the most significant root cause of climate change? Now, we all know that climate change is something inevitable. Our climate changes. It is a natural process. But we have noticed that in recent years, in the recent time, that climate change is being accelerated due to human activity. Now, we cannot 100% just mitigate and stop a lot of our changes that we are contributing to. We cannot 100% stop with emitting zero carbon dioxide. This is something that may be a dream one day, but currently we cannot do this. This is impossible because there's too much money involved. Our world runs on our economy. And in order for our economy to continue, business should continue. And if you eliminate the emission of CO2, our economy cannot continue. We as humans, we cannot live. But we can, in the future, adapt. We can adapt now, so that later we can mitigate, and we can slowly climb this ladder to one day stop change completely. But for now, we must start adapting. So one day we can mitigate ourselves.
Our topic is reducing human activities that have an effect on climate change. Now, our 2 points are the biggest contribution to climate change by human activities. Those activities are the greenhouse gases and deforestation. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, methane, and much more. Now, we can help to make these gases in our atmosphere, we can reduce them. And by doing such, for example, carpooling, we can carry more people to school, to work, to activities. We also can be more energy efficient, using different light bulbs, for instance, like Energy Star lighting. Energy Star lighting generates 75% less heat and also uses about 75% less energy, which in the end saves more for us and the environment. Cheaper public transportation. With carpooling, we need public transportation. We need a method to get from place to place. Other ways of reducing greenhouse gases is with agriculture. With farms and such, many greenhouse gases are released into the air from the machinery they use, the gas they use in the machinery, the chemicals they use on the plants, and so forth. Having your own garden in your backyard would help with that. Here on Bonaire, it's not that easy to do so because the ground can't really grow much with it. Also, deforestation plays a huge role. With deforestation, when you cut down trees, it releases more carbon dioxide into the air. And the carbon dioxide then cannot be taken in by the trees because there are less and less. Our second point is destroying nature destroys Bonaire. Bonaire survives through its nature. If the corals are destroyed, the reefs are, less divers come, less money for Bonaire. Everything becomes more expensive. If we can't get all these things that we need here, food, cars, everything, then Bonaire will have less and less people and less means of surviving. So we have to help the reefs to survive by producing less and less carbon dioxide. And those are 2 points for our group. Thank you.
Very nice opening remarks from both teams. Now we're going to move on to the back and forth session of the debate, where each team is going to be allowed to present their answer to this question. What is the most significant root cause of climate change?
Now, the root cause, as we know, since the 17th century, the Industrial Revolution has started in Europe. Since then, our global emission on carbon dioxide has skyrocketed, such as Mr. Paul said earlier.
Since the Industrial Revolution, the amount of CO2, so carbon dioxide, in our atmosphere has gone 40% higher. That is due to all of the cars and the airplanes and all the things that we are using nowadays. And the methane levels have gone up 150% since then. And that is also due to all of the new industrial things that we use nowadays.
It's cheaper to live the wrong way. It's cheaper to produce it if you just do it the cheaper way. But to go green, produce less fumes and less garbage, it's expensive, but it's reachable. Only if everybody wants to work together. Because now, not everybody wants. So if we all work together and want to do it, it becomes cheaper. Why, if everybody buys something, it becomes cheaper, and then when nobody wants to do this, it stays expensive and nobody wants it. So we want to we want everybody to, let's go green.
We've also adapted too much to our lifestyle now. And because of that, it is harder for us to reduce the things that we do, to reduce using fans, to reduce using light, to open the windows, open the doors, let a cool breeze come through. Open your windows, let light come through instead of using everything that we use now. Walking, why don't you walk somewhere instead of driving your car somewhere that's maybe 2 minutes down the road. Driving is maybe 5 minutes walk. We can do many things to reduce.
Outro team está pensando que nós mister buscar solução a walking para não vir mais pior, pero a metade é que se nós buscar solução a walking, tá onde que lá acaba, passou não sei é point of no return, que man é climate change a começar a acabar, global warming a começar a acabar, que man nós me se adaptar e depois nós podemos buscar solução. Se nós não adaptar, nós não podemos buscar solução.
If we have no corals, no coral reefs, no one will want to come to Bonaire. Our main source of income is from the divers, the tourists. You take away the reefs, you take away our source of income. No food, nothing. Bonaireans can't even leave, so they don't even have money too. They have to survive off whatever they can find, the tiniest scraps of water to the tiniest pieces of food. If you destroy the nature, there is no way we can find a way, the Bonaireans can find a way to come back, to get their source of life back, their income back. The land, you can't really do anything with the land. We're not like Aruba or Curacao or even other islands. We don't have the beauty, as much beauty in the land as other places do. So with that said, we have to protect our nature. We have to protect everything around it and in it.
Okay, 30 seconds of rebuttal from Team Adaptation.
I'd like to start my rebuttal from Team Adaptation. You said that Bonaire does not match the resources as Aruba and Curacao are sister islands. And I believe that Curacao does have an extra advantage of more fresh water and a larger natural harbor in deep water. But how does Aruba differentiate naturally from Bonaire?
Let's reverse the roles now, and Team Adaptation, please present your answer to the question of what would be the most significant impact of climate change on Bonaire.
The most significant climate change impact on Bonaire is the economy. So, the waters have become too hot for the fish. There's acidation in the corals. The coral reefs are dead. Everything's white. There's nothing left. Tourists have suddenly lost interest in the 7 best diving destinations in the world. So what's going to happen to Bonaire? There's nothing for us left. And on top of that, because the coral reefs are gone, the fish are gone, everything's gone, where is our food? Eventually the goats will run out, all the iguanas will run out, the fish are no longer there. So we will fall into the problem of our economy not really existing anymore and our food situation.
Yes, well, I believe that on Bonaire, since the first Europeans stepped foot on this island, it was known as Islas Inutiles, useless islands. We all know that Bonaire hasn't really seen any economic flourishing. This island is economically dead. If we lose our reefs, we still have our water and we still have our sunshine. So what if, as adaptation, we keep our tourism by creating mass artificial beaches, such as Aruba and St. Martin. We have these massive beaches all over, white sand, artificial. And we have this, and we attract tourists, and we have the blue water, beautiful sand, and we adapt, and we still keep our tourism, and we might even expand it and create mass tourism, such as our islands in Aruba and St. Martin.
We're going so far into the future, you're already planning all of the assets and all that. By then, hurricanes would have probably grown. Your beach construction idea would be blown away the week you would have put it on. There's no use of it.
Bonaire's economically dead, where are you going to get the money to actually fix the beaches and pour the sand and
Are you planning to plunge us more into depth?
Very good.
I want to add something.
Sure.
Like Bonaire is now one of the only, not the only, but one of the only Caribbean islands that still have a lot of life on them and a lot of plant species. If global warming continues and we turn it into a, say, Aruba, we will lose all the valuable species we have now.
Okay, with those 2 points in mind, take another 2 minutes to regroup and come with a 2-minute closing remarks where you're going to lay out why we should be focusing on the mitigation of the causes of climate change or adapting so we're less vulnerable to the effects of climate change.
All right, first of all, guys, I want to start with the first rebuttal, which was against us stopping at 100%. Mitigation is not about stopping, it's about reducing. That's the word. That's the meaning of the word reduction. You do not have to stop everything, just make it less.
The second remark was about walking. People who have troubles walking to places. That's why we have strollers and wheelchairs. Strollers for little kids, wheelchairs for older kids, older people and teenagers. That way they can get around easier. People push the wheelchair or the stroller and they can get around easier.
Second of all, speaking about the nature here in Ireland, we're not going to take any of it away because we kind of want to keep this. Second, and on top of that, if we are going to transform into anything like Aruba or Curaçao, we'd have too much competition to keep up with it. It's better to stay a nature kind of island.
Aruba depends more on its development, what it has to offer the people, its tourist attractions, everything. So if we try to do that, we're going to have a big competition, and we can't do that because it takes money to do it.
And just to end it all off, you know, we need to keep our nature, guys. It's what keeps our economy bright. It's what keeps us. It's the most important thing here on our island, nature.
Once the temperatures rise to unbearable temperatures for our plants and our ocean, there will almost be nothing lush anymore. Well, barely is lush here, but still, it won't be as dense as it is now because it will continue to be hotter. We don't know if the rain will increase or decrease. So really we have to make sure that we have another solution rather than our nature, because eventually it will become too less to stay.
We also have salt here on Bonaire, and because of because the sun becomes hotter, we can use the sun will make more salt, so we can get more salt because the sun gets hotter. So we can get more income because of that.
Yeah, and we also can use the sun as a solar panel power to get more energy, green energy, and not using generators that produce CO2.
Yeah. And it's 50 times more expensive to try and reduce the climate change than to adapt to it.
Because of the Coriolis effect that happens by the happening of a hurricane in the beginning, because that effect will be more extreme, these hurricanes will head more north and more east. Another point in the rebuttal we got was Bonaire, where does the income come for roads, for example? Now, since 2010, 10th of October, Bonaire has become officially a Dutch colony. Now, so we get all our money from Holland, and the people here pay taxes, and that is the income this island generates. Our closing statement will be, stop being afraid and start acting. Thank you.
Well, what I observed with team adaptation was they showed us the steepest learning and adaptation curve, actually, a progress curve in the second stage. But because mitigation was producing material in a stable amount of way, I can say actually from the beginning, they got the credits of winning, but it was a pretty close call, and we really liked you and enjoyed watching you learn. Thank you DCNA for the opportunity of putting this together and pulling it off like a really success.